then as long as the administration has some kind of base of support, either internationally, in the case of Adsmongold, by a lot of right-wing Europeans, even though that's going to fall apart soon too, or you know, your neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes or Tucker Carlson or whatever then you don't have to do the frequently than liberals do.
Openly admitted, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is the comparison. That's why I always laugh when dumb right-wingers or even like dumb centrists will be like, Hasan and Adsmongold are two sides of the same coin. Meanwhile, this is Adsmongold's worldview.
You openly admitted you never do research or read articles outside of Twitter. How can you shamelessly tell others to read more? I don't need to understand whatever article you want me to read. All I need to understand is human psychology and incentives. And incentives and human psychology are the deciding factors of how people will behave. I don't need to read your little special book or your Wikipedia article or anything else besides that.
Yeah, your viewers could turn on a stream from 2020 and get essentially the same exact coverage. You might be the most consistent commentator online. And the real reason why I'm probably one of the most consistent commentators online is because, unfortunately, the problems haven't changed. As a matter of fact, they've only gotten worse. So anytime I say, like, this is going to get worse, and then you watch it 8 years later, you're like, oh my God, how did you nail it? All of the things that you said were going to happen are happening now, including, like in that previous video where I was talking about how ICE has grand aspirations to become a surveillance agency or play a more formative role in the surveillance apparatus of the government. That's here. That's here now, where they're using Stingray and you know, Israeli technology to mass surveil the population. They got Palantir. This is pre-AI. So the tech tools were not even available at the time, but they were still trying to do it. Not hard to predict. I know. I don't think this is like, listen, first of all, it's fine. Being a socialist in 1999 feels a lot more vindicating in 2026. They're unprincipled. I was calling what neocons were doing early. They said I was overreacting, but now look at us. Not hard to predict. I know, chatter. That's my point. My point is that I don't have like a special gift of foresight. I'm just applying what I have seen take place in the past to my predictions on what might come next. Okay? And as long as you have consistent principles and you engage in dialectical thinking and you have the capacity for pattern recognition, you will be able to understand where society is going. Unfortunately, however, especially in this day and age, common sense is not so common. So yeah, I'm not really reinventing the wheel when I say these sorts of things, or when I was saying these sorts of things in 2018. Just like I'm not reinventing the wheel right now, right? And yet, you see how some people react to this commentary even now. So many people who reflexively go, you're bad, you're stupid, you're a commie, you hate America. You think they didn't say that back then? Of course they did. They were saying the exact same shit. Maybe a much smaller group of people were saying that because I wasn't as popular as I am now. But that's it. Probably your biggest L is that you, like most, assumed America is the exception and won't fall apart and reform will come. No, that's not true. There is me trying to hemorrhage, or there's me trying to put a Band-Aid or gauze on a gaping wound, which is what my commentary is when I talk about like changing the current duopoly structure into one that is more beneficial, okay? One that's more beneficial for organizing versus what I think is going to happen. Your commentary isn't even remotely radical to others who consistently call out justice. Yes, there is that I think I have been able to get this commentary in front of many more eyeballs than ever before, partially due to the internet. That's it. I'm not a unique person at all. However, you see how this works. You see how when a popular figure, a popular commentator on the internet is met with like so much enmity, so much hatred for maintaining a consistent position, constantly with people surrounding him. Constantly there are people all around me that just say, you're wrong. I don't want to hear it. I want to shoot the messenger instead. And I'm going to look for reasons as to why I shouldn't listen to you. I'm not going to take your message. I'm not going to learn what you are saying. I'm not going to be charitable to what you have to say. I am going to simply go, there must be a good reason for why I shouldn't listen to this person. And I will go to anyone that will tell me that this guy ain't shit. People basically hit themselves with a blunt object over and over again by watching slop tubers who tell them to whisper sweet nothings in their ear about how, yeah, no, this guy ain't shit. He's stupid, dog. I don't have any qualifications to say this, but I can repeat the Reddit, the Redditors that have figured out a way to disparage this person. Just don't listen to him at all. He's rich. He's a rich socialist. Don't listen to him. He's hypocritical. He's bad. He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. He's an evil guy. He's an evil guy over and over again. And if there's a steady cycle of, if there is a steady flow of slop that keeps flowing, you never actually have to go to the other side and encounter what I have to say sincerely or with any sort of charitability whatsoever, especially because the industry that I'm in is dominated by self-interested, narcissistic multimillionaires who will take their own personal resentments and personal anger out on others who have, at any given point, called them out for something, even if they've done it in a gentle manner. I happen to be contrary to what the people in my chat tell me all the time, where I'm not being ruthless enough to my ideological enemies or whatever. I actually try to do that in the best way possible, in the gentlest way possible. And yet, any kind of pushback is met with so much anger, so much resentment, so much enmity.
You openly admitted you never do research or read articles outside of Twitter. How can you shamelessly tell others to read more? I don't need to understand whatever article you want me to read. All I need to understand is human psychology and incentives. And incentives and human psychology are the deciding factors of how people will behave. I don't need to read your little special book or your Wikipedia article or anything else besides that. None of that stuff matters. What matters fundamentally is how do people act, how do people think, and how do people respond to incentives?
So stupid. First of all, this is just a defense of anti-intellectualism. Okay? This is anti-intellectualism masquerading as like some sort of understanding of humanity. Like, oh, this is my philosophical approach. It's like, no, it's not. You need to do both. Okay? Understanding incentives and understanding humans is essential to doing analysis, but without any sort of factually accurate reporting, your analysis is always going to fall short. Of course, when you're on the right, you don't have to care about any of those things, and you can say, my feelings are what matter. My ignorance actually is more important than your knowledge. My feelings are more important than your facts. Okay? And you can, as long as you have a big enough platform, as long as you have a lot of other people backing you because you're, again, whispering sweet nothings into their ear about how this administration is actually awesome, okay, then as long as the administration has some kind of base of support, either internationally, in the case of Adsmongold, by a lot of right-wing Europeans, even though that's going to fall apart soon too, or you know, your neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes or Tucker Carlson or whatever then you don't have to do the reading. You don't have to do it at all. You can just like repeat the same shit that you see on Twitter, which is ironic because for the longest time, my naysayers on the liberal side, the destinies of the world, claimed that I didn't actually do any reading at all, and I was a dumb moron who doesn't know anything and inconsistent and hypocritical and only rely on Twitter posts for my commentary. And that's so funny because that's literally what Adsmongold is doing. And Adsmongold, as a matter of fact, was able to develop himself as a political commentator because of all the disparaging nonsense that centrists and liberals and objective commentators in the slop tube sphere did to disparage someone like myself. What is this? Wait, what? 40K viewers and no comments almost? Viewbot or... Did you think that because I paused the comments on the side of the screen that there are no comments happening in the chat? Yeah, my ops who presented themselves as like objective people, you know, like liberal centrists, and they tried to attack me as like a dangerous, scary person, constantly demanding why aren't there others who are, you know, fighting back against Hasan and against the madness that he represents, all this like crazy wokeness or you know, all this craziness that he represents with like socialism. It'll never happen. It's a dream. It's a scary one too. And there you have it. You built up someone. You built up an alternative. Now you hate it. Okay? Now you fucking hate it. And it's ironic because every single thing that they said about me falsely, even though I might not be the greatest orator or have the same level of confidence that comes from Dunning-Kruger, the stupidity that a lot of these people maintain, that gives them this like ridiculous confidence in behaving as though they're totally right when they're wrong. Okay? Even though I might not have those things, I am very knowledgeable. I am very well read. This is something that I did study. This is something that I've been doing for many, many years. And also on top of that, I'm very consistent, right? That's why you can go back to videos from 2018 and see the exact same things that I was saying back then as I am now. Unfortunately, because things have not changed. And as a matter of fact, they've only gotten worse. I used to avoid political commentators, and I assumed Hasan was right-wing for some reason. Yeah, I was shadow banned on election night 2024. I still got 314,000 people in here tuning in to see what I had to say about the election. And yet I was shadow banned off the platform because a lot of these other guys who are liberals, who are centrist themselves, who are apolitical themselves, who now hate ICE and hate Donald Trump, by the way, and they did back then as well, spent every fucking waking moment leading up to the election trying to get me banned, trying to get me deplatformed before the election, working with congresspersons like Richie Torres, for example, who sent Amazon a sternly worded letter with a congressional letterhead demanding that I, as a dangerous left-wing figure who was an anti-Semite because I was, daring to oppose the nation state of Israel and its genocide, was the real person that was the only person that should be deplatformed off of Twitch. Okay, you still are, by the way. Yeah, exactly, and that hasn't really stopped. I was fucking blacklisted. And yet I still was able to bring in 317,000 people tuning in to see what I had to say about the election. But just think about that. What do you think is going to happen in that process? Of course, people are going to go and seek out other alternatives if they can't find me on the fucking they can't find me on the main page on the night of the goddamn election. Thank you. Closed presents with 100 gifted subs and open presents with 100 gifted subs. God damn.
If you can understand that, then nothing else matters. It's pretty simple.
Anyway, it is pretty wild that he just openly says, like, I am not well read at all and I'm not interested in being well read at all. It's just common sense. Like, he's giving the game away. But unfortunately, for right-wingers, this is just how it works. Here's a journalist, Stephen Azark, saying, about a month or so back, I asked Adsmongold fans to meet me in the real world to talk, but none of them took me up on the offer. Instead, I got hundreds of replies and messages saying I didn't understand him, how I should just watch his streams and not just the clips. So I did, and learned that Zach doesn't care. He will put on a video he doesn't understand the full context of and rant about it with extreme right-wing bias. It's vitriol for 6 hours straight, a handpicked selection of clips designed to invoke anger without critical thinking. I genuinely believe that there are people here for his gaming takes, and I'm so worried that they are getting radicalized by Twitch's most powerful and least researched streamer. It's crazy, but stupid sells. And it's not just that he's like foolishly spewing toxic bile. Okay. He also is followed by the vice president, or followed by Elon Musk, is in correspondence with Elon Musk. He's admitted directly that he is a regime propagandist that is having these sorts of conversations with people in positions of power. And that is the reason why I cover Adsmongold. Even though people go, why do you cover Asmon? It's pointless. Motherfucker, the vice president is retweeting him. Okay? The real world is stupid as fuck, especially this administration. You're not talking about some random fucking loser who sits in filth. You're talking about a random fucking loser who sits in filth, who is in direct contact with Elon Musk, the most powerful person on the fucking planet, the wealthiest billionaire on the fucking planet, who is doing regime propaganda to a fairly sizable audience on a daily fucking basis, who's getting retweeted by the fucking vice president. I know he is repulsive. I know it annoys you when I cover him. I get it. You fancy yourself to be this heightened intellectual. Okay? You fancy yourself to be this heightened intellectual, and you feel like this is dumb to do. The reality of the matter is people are dumb. And this kind of dumbass bullshit actually does numbers. Doesn't research, has never had a job, lives alone in a messy house, a multimillionaire from playing video games, has no academic background in human psychology, just gets angry at the world and blames his problems on others. Like, he is a more prominent fixture in right-wing commentary now than like Fox News is, at least for our age demographic, okay? That's it. Do you support abolishing ICE? Independent voters, 48% say yes, 36% say no.